I suppose this is part 2. It was when I'd kind of made this video, it made me think about things just a little bit differently. Maybe about what we're really looking at. I mean, when you look at this picture, do you see an Egyptian or do you see more of a black person with an elongated head? Anyway, this is what this video is about. I did the elongated headed a bit more in this video, so there's a bit of a mention of it. This video hasn't gone out when I'm making this, but that will be obviously number 1 and this will be number 2. Anyway, let's carry on with the video. I just thought, this is what I thought. Let's continue. So, there's a few things that got me when I was looking. So, it says that some of the Egyptian pharaohs were black pharaohs. When do they ever really talk about that? It was only when I was looking at the statues and I thought, well, anyway, we're going to look at that in a minute, but we're just going through this. Maybe we just didn't realise when we were looking that some of these statues are dark anyway, very dark. And they're only dark because the pharaohs were dark. I'm not sure whether I ever thought about it before. But anyway, did anybody else think about that? This one is kings, but look up there at Zusa and Throthmos and Ramesses. These are kings, but these are also pharaohs. There's probably another one there. What about that one? Do you see what I mean? And that is more than 5. That's 3, 6, 9, 12. There's another one. Oh, that's Thusos. Oh, sorry, I just blew them up a little bit for you to see. More of them. Just pictures of the coloured kings. The 5th dynasty of Egypt. And I realised this when I was looking at some of the mummy pictures or the statues of the pharaohs. So we'll just look at a few more to show you. I suppose it's the way that you look at her. Do you see an Egyptian woman? Or do you actually see a dark, much darker woman, maybe an African woman or a black woman? I never really thought about it, and then all of the pictures come up and you're just, yes, there's another one, there's another one. But when I made the video the other day, I just realised that they were black. And then I found that some of the pharaohs were black. Yeah, so what's your thoughts? Because the one on the right shows that she is black lady. Maybe that's more Middle Eastern, but she's a black, to me, she's a black lady. It was also when I was seeing these ones, I was thinking, I don't think they look Egyptian. When you look at these statues, they again look like black people. Here you go, see? And there was this person, so it's supposed to be Nefertiti. And guess what? Well, I think that she's a darker skinned person, and also she's got an elongated head. And I asked the question in the last video, do you think that this is because their heads have been bound and it's created this? Or do you think they're a different species of humans? And it's quite like incredible because they have more chakras and everything, if that's what Brian Forrester and Marie Wheatley believe. But I mean, there was a lot of head binding going on. I mean, we don't do anything like that today. It's not part of our culture or part, you know, that's not part of what people will explain about us. We're heathens, basically. So it can't be that. So I just think, I just don't know what to make of the elongated headed people. But anyway, that was the bit I saw. And then if you start looking, you start finding a bit more about these African pharaohs who seem to be kings as well. Now this is Cleopatra, so what colour is she? She's dark. And what does she look more like? She looks more Indian. They look like Indians, and that sort of gobsmacked me. And now we take a fresh re-look at their caskets and what they look like. Do you think, when you see them with hair rather than these headdresses, that after all they look like a type of Indian? I mean, this one has got a bit of the Egyptian bit in it, you know, the statues where my cursor is. But look at the rest of the coffin. And I was talking to Monique last night and she sent me a few pictures which we're going to show in a minute. But look at the coffin. It looks a lot more Indian-like. Another one. More Indian-like. Anyway, we are going back to Cleopatra now. There is just so much to say when you start. Well, it does often, things lead to dead ends, but there is quite a lot of information here. So there's been this Netflix film about her. I don't think they said she was, by the way. But I mean, look at the colour of her skin there. There's another one of her. It's crazy when you put the extra hat on and start seeing that maybe everything isn't quite the way that you've been told. It's another dark statue. They're saying there's no actual evidence that she was black. Except a lot of these pictures are showing a black Cleopatra. I'd never thought of that, and that would amaze me because I actually probably thought that the black people had probably run us and they threw them out somehow. But she is dark. And when these ones are showing Cleopatra, really, she's dark. We have the Hollywood Cleopatra, but was she more like that? I mean, when you're looking through the stuff, they don't say she was particularly pretty. And they're not, you know, so they show you pictures of her as a black African pharaoh, queen, Egyptian thing. But, you know, anyway, I just thought it was interesting. I just thought that I would put that in. We'll just cut that bit off at the bottom. Whoops. And then these are some of their names. Some of the pharaohs, the black ones. Obviously I put the list of black pharaohs. I just thought it was amazing that I bet you none of you were really taught this. And you've got a memory back of the Egyptians. You don't see black pharaohs. Do you see here? So she looks nothing like the Cleopatra that we remember as the queen. She's totally different. She could still be a black queen. She looks nothing like oh, what's her name? She looks absolutely nothing like Elizabeth Taylor, does she? Even Iris here looks like an Indian, don't you think? Do you see the Indian connection now? Because now we've got the feathers. I never saw it like that before, but obviously I've changed my mind now. See, now take a fresh look. Scrub out the Egyptians. And when you look at these, don't they remind you more Indian? Do you see what I mean? And I'm going to show you some more drawings in a minute, the ones that me and Monique saw and so forth, but I'm just going through it because, again, a lot of these people are dark-skinned. So there's this dark-skinned thing and an Indian thing. It's not like they say the such and such amount of pharaohs, of which some were dark-skinned. You don't really realise it. They're just called Egyptians, but they are different races. Especially, what about the ones with elongated heads? What race are they? Are they heads bound, or are they a race of people? And if they're a race of people, they're not particularly tall either. Ramesses II was a black pharaoh. Well, it says North African there, but in others it says that he's black. Another king who was black. Don't really mention them at all. And then these are the dynasties. I'm hoping that they've come through a bit in order, because Facebook usually sort of jumbles them all up. But these are the different dynasties. I mean, there are quite a few of them. And they're saying that only 5 of them were dark-skinned pharaohs. But there was the 5th dynasty and the 25th dynasty. Hopefully they're going in order. There's too many to mention almost. You just never think that there's this many pharaohs. It's Ramesses. And obviously there was 1, 2 and 3 and 4. I think he got to Ramesses 4. I can't remember now. Or Ramesses the 5th there. Or Ramesses the 8th. Oh, it goes on. Now we're up to the 22nd. Oh, I think that was in twice. More of them. 23rd dynasty, 24th dynasty down here. Did you actually realise there was that many emperors? Sorry, not emperors, pharaohs. Did you actually realise there was that many pharaohs? Probably the same thing. I think it just goes on a little bit more. Telling just a little bit more there. And then the next pictures are what Monique sent me about native Indians. Now, do you see when you look at that after all, they might actually all be very similar. So we were looking at these. And doesn't that look a bit more Egyptian, or what you think is Egyptian? Well, it hasn't come out very well there, but that is Viking as well. So again, could this be that these people were all the same? So those are our messages there. Well, a couple of our messages. Just to show you that we were messaging each other. She has a feather, so she is Egyptian, and she has and these are feathers. She has a feather, so she looks more like an American Indian. So that's American artwork. Do you think it's starting to look a bit more Egyptian now? Look at that one. Do you think these are looking a little bit more Egyptian? The birds? What about the Aztecs? Tribal borders, do they look quite Egyptian-like, Indian-like, Aztec-like? Artwork. Native Americans. I put that in because he was a dark-skinned one again. Maybe he's bigger because he's more powerful. And look at the borders and the artwork. Do they look a bit more Indian now? Is that a feather? Does he look more Indian-y like, Aztec-y like? Oh, where does that one come from? That's Egyptian. These are Egyptian. They look like Indians, don't they? Yes, just like the Indians. Egyptian goddesses, it says. Hopefully, you will agree with me that you now see, if I showed you those and took the word Egypt off and stuck them in with some Indians, you'd have thought that they were Indians. And they're not. These are Egyptians. And then we get to Aztec. And a lot of their artwork is quite similar to the Indians and the Egyptians. Well, that says Native American, but it's in here with the Aztec. Do you think that looks more Egyptian now, but it's Native American? See, I put in Aztec native drawings and these just say American Indians. But you see, it's all going to look very Egyptian as well. They're versions of each other. I mean, look at that headdress. That says Aztec style. Well, what does that look like to you? A pharaoh's headdress, almost, isn't it? And now we're going to take a bit of a look at the Mexican. Do you think now this is also starting to look a bit like the Pharaohs? Obviously, these look a little bit more colourful, say, than the other ones, but do they look similar? Yes, look at that. It's Aztec. But it's still very similar to the Pharaohs. Indians. But those are Pharaohs. I'm looking up Egyptian headdresses and it's put that one up, but do you see? Okay, they have some feathers on. This is just a drawing. That is real. This isn't. This is all feathers. This is probably made with feathers. And they are very similar. And these ones are Viking. Obviously, to me, they look more Indian. They're called Vikings, but they look like Indians to me. Look at that, 318 Vikings and warriors. So, did you see what I saw? Anyway, the video's finishing now, so please leave your comments to what you think you've seen in my video. Hello everybody, I wasn't looking for this again. It just so happens that I've been thinking for a little while when I see them, oh yes, they look very alike, and then I've done a little video on it. So we have this guy here called, oh god, what's his name? His name is Eddie Boxshall. He's going out with Denise Van Otten. Otten, yeah, that's right. Anyway, this picture there says 1921, so that is now 3 years ago. So obviously we can age a bit in 3 years, but there he is, short hair. In this, he's quite quiet. You know, he's more passive, quiet. And then here we have him as Henry Cole. The only difference is, this person they say is in their 40s, and this one here, they say he's in his 50s, as Henry Cole is in his 50s. So the age is the difference. But in this, he's much louder and noisy and boy-like and silly and stupid. So his personality in this programme is totally different to the one he has on Gogglebox. Anyway, let's carry on with the video, see what you think.
I wonder if you would have picked me. Of course I would have done.
I do wonder though.
Simon O'Brien and Henry Cole
Hello.
are here to repurpose your cast-offs into cash.
Mate, that is beautiful.
Petrolhead Henry and his sidekick Alan
Wow, look at that.
love meddling with motors and all things mechanical.
Billy, it runs!
While